Have you ever seen someone who already has everything? Abundant wealth, a palace-like home, a prestigious position, but they still look hungry? They still want to expand their business? They still want a higher office? And they still want to control more people? Those of us watching often wonder, what more do they need? Aren't they tired? Well, if you think they're just greedy, your logic is only scratching the surface. Greed is just a social label. Behind it, there's a biological machine that never stops working. Ambition isn't just a personality trait. Ambition is an addiction produced directly inside your skull. The human brain wasn't designed for satisfaction. It was designed for winning. Welcome back to ARC Power Play. In this second episode, we are going to dissect the headquarters of human ambition. We'll break down the 6 brain regions that determine whether you'll be a predator at the top of the social food chain or just a passive spectator. As it turns out, these seeds of a ruler are already installed in our neural networks. Let's break down the logic one by one. 1. Frontal lobe, the executive office. We start at the very front, right behind your forehead, the frontal lobe. If the brain were a giant corporation, the frontal lobe would be the CEO's office. This is where strategic decisions are made. The logic of this region is self-control, long-term planning, and risk assessment. Why do rulers have an active frontal lobe? Because ambition requires strategy. You can't master the masses using only muscle. You need the ability to think 3 steps ahead. The frontal lobe is the region that says, don't eat the cake now. Save it for tomorrow so we have the capital to buy the cake factory. This is the ability for delayed gratification in exchange for greater power. The biological mechanism is unique. The frontal lobe is responsible for suppressing the wild instincts from more primitive parts of the brain. Thus, a great ruler is usually the coldest person who can best control their emotions. If you get easily triggered or angry over trivial things, perhaps the CEO in your head is on leave. Without a strong frontal lobe, your ambition will just be a daydream without execution. 2. Parietal lobe, the GPS of power. Spatial awareness. Moving to the top and slightly towards the back, we find the parietal lobe. Generally, its job is to process sensory information like touch and spatial navigation. But in the context of power play, the logic of this region is hierarchical navigation. The parietal lobe helps you understand where you are positioned within a social space. People with a sharp region here can quickly sense who the most influential person in a room is, who can be approached and who should be avoided. This is the social sixth sense. A perspective ruler needs the ability to map out power. Who are my allies? Who are my threats? The parietal lobe processes the world around you not just as a collection of objects, but as a set of power coordinates. If this region is dull, you'll often be underdressed, misspeak, or find yourself in the wrong place within the social structure. A skilled ruler knows exactly where they stand and how close they are to the center of control. 3. Temporal lobe, the intelligence database, memory, and language hub. On the sides, near your ears, lies the temporal lobe. This is the memory warehouse and the language processing center. In the business of ambition, the logic of this territory is reputation management and narrative. A ruler needs a sharp memory of who owes them a favor and who has betrayed them. The temporal lobe stores all those files. Furthermore, this region is crucial for the power of persuasion. You cannot master the masses if your way of speaking is a mess. You need the right vocabulary to manipulate the emotions of others. The addictive mechanism is right here. When you successfully convince others through words and they begin to follow your orders, the brain releases dopamine that makes you crave storytelling even more. That's why many rulers love giving long speeches. They're actually getting high because their narrative is being accepted by the collective database of others. 4. Occipital lobe, the strategy monitor, visual processing. At the very back of the brain, there's the occipital lobe. Its task is purely visual, processing what the eyes see. But make no mistake, the logic of this region for ambition is future visualization. True rulers have vision that goes beyond what is right in front of them. They don't just see an empty lot, they see a city. They don't just see a lazy employee, they see the potential for efficiency. The occipital lobe works with the frontal lobe to create a mental image of victory. Why is ambition so addictive? Because the mental image of success often feels more real than reality itself to a ruler. The occipital lobe processes this imagination of power as if it has already happened. This is what keeps ambitious people motivated even when reality is bitter. The monitor in the back of their head is always playing a film of their future glory. 5. Cerebellum, the master of execution. Precision operator. Beneath the cerebrum sits a small part called the cerebellum. Its function is motor coordination, balance, and precision of action. Through the lens of power play, the logic of this region is physical authority and action precision. Have you ever seen a leader whose movements are elegant, calm, and free of unnecessary gestures? That is the work of a trained cerebellum. Authority isn't just about expensive clothes, it's about how your body moves. Steady and precise movements send a biological signal to others that you are an individual in full control of yourself. Furthermore, ambition requires precision in execution. No matter how great the plan is in the frontal lobe, it's useless if you are nervous or careless on the big day. The cerebellum ensures all the theories of power turn into smooth action. Successful rulers usually have excellent motor control. They know when to stand perfectly still and when to move fast without looking panicked. 6. Brainstem, the survival generator, primal drive. Finally, the deepest and most ancient part, the brainstem. This is the part we share with reptiles. Its functions are very basic: breathing, heart rate, and the fight or flight instinct. But this is precisely where the root of all ambition lies. The logic of the brainstem is survival and dominance. To your brainstem, life is only about two things: eat or be eaten, win or lose. Ambition becomes addictive because when you win a power struggle, the brainstem sends a signal to the whole body that you are safe. This is what makes ambition feel so primitive and powerful. When someone feels their power is threatened, it's not their logic that reacts, but their brainstem. They will feel as if their life is on the line, even if it's just about a job title at the office. This biological mechanism ensures you stay hungry for power, because in the wild, ceasing to dominate means preparing to become prey for another predator. The brainstem is the generator that supplies constant energy for your ambition to stay lit. So, why is ambition so addictive? Logically, it's because ambition is the result of an orchestral performance of these 6 regions that culminates in the release of satisfying hormones: dopamine when a plan succeeds, frontal; testosterone when dominance is achieved, brainstem; and oxytocin when your followers adore you, temporal. A ruler's brain isn't physically different, but it is a brain that's wiring is connected in a way that is highly focused on results and status. The problem is this biological system has a tolerance feature. Just like a drug, today's dose of victory won't be enough to make you happy tomorrow. You need a bigger win, a wider territory, and more followers to get the same high. This is the biological horror of ambition. We are slaves to our own brain chemistry. Great rulers are those who are aware of this machine and can control their brain regions so they aren't consumed by blind obsession. Ambition is fire. It can be a tool to light the way, or it can be the reason you burn down alone. Thank you for watching until the end. If you like how we explain complex things to make them make more sense, don't forget to follow Synoptic. We will continue to discuss many everyday things that are actually fascinating as long as they are explained the right way. Synoptic, the world simplified, one thought at a time.